Welcome to our two-part extravaganza. That is our opening day at home stream.
Hope everyone is safe in this crazy quarantine stage.
Yes.
It's definitely a new era that is rocking right now.
Yeah.
We're all getting acclimated to, so hope everyone is safe. Continue to be safe. Stay home. Binge watch some sweet shows and movies if you have to.
Yeah.
Also, feel free to download any podcast app and get caught up on the sweet episodes that have been released for CasonPoint. And also, log on to Twitch and check out the guy MediocrePanda, who is probably going to slaughter me in baseball right now as we talk some sports.
History kind of goes against that, but we shall see. We're going to kind of talk a little bit about what's going on here in the current sports climate. We don't really have any. We don't have actual sports going on. We've only got a lot of simulation stuff going on. Anything from hockey to NASCAR is getting simulated online to kind of fill the void left by sports in these trying times.
Yep. Speaking of which, if you follow any of your favorite athletes and or mascots or teams, you're probably seeing these simulations anyways. If you are a hockey fan, I recommend following Bailey, the LA Kings mascot. He has some quality Twitch streams of some live hockey games, which is pretty awesome, especially for a sports guy like myself who cannot go to bed without at least watching an hour of some sort of sport. And at this point, I am almost to the point of being sickened by watching things that I've already seen probably 100 times.
I hear that. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing against each other. The first ever online baseball matchups of CasonPoint v MediocrePanda.
It's like the video game Olympics.
Yeah, except way less impressive. So we're going to be playing two games. We're going to be playing as each other's. We're going to be playing as our teams, so I will be playing as the LA Dodgers.
The Doyers.
The Doyers.
I'm going to go retro.
You going to go retro with it?
Did you go gray or white?
I went whites.
Ooh, I'm feeling the road 77s.
The 77s?
Yeah.
With a I thought you were about to put on a New York Giants hat.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I thought you might. You of all people would.
I like the orange. I like the orange bill. I really wish they had like a gray pant with orange stripes, but you can't.
You got that
beggars can't be choosers. Yeah, we're gonna rock with these.
Obviously, we gotta be.
At Dodger Stadium.
When was the game supposed to be on today?
The game was supposed to be on at 2 o'clock, I believe.
So we'll call it 1 o'clock. April. Clear skies. Because that's the one thing we can be thankful for is some clear skies.
Facts.
Kershaw gonna get the start for me on the mound with the Dodgers.
Oof. I mean, I'm the Giants, so my pitchers are garbage. I think I'm gonna go Cueto. Or Samardzija. Let's go Cueto.
I personally would definitely do Cueto as well.
This sucks. We are 100% in the National League, which means my pitcher has to bat. Barf. Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. Hunter Pence went back to the Giants.
He sure did.
That is cray-cray. Alright, I don't think I'm going to make any adjustments, except I don't know who this Dubon guy is. I know he's a prospect, never seen him play, so I'm going to put Wilmer Flores. Isn't Wilmer Flores the dude that cried in the Mets game? I think that's the dude that was like afraid he was going to get cut or thought he was traded mid-game and started crying, and they caught him on camera, and then they ended up not trading him.
You see, I'm not sure about that one.
I'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly how that went down. Let's... Just because I have to prove myself right. Yep.
Did you find
Apparently,
it? Is that a thing?
yeah, apparently his trade was reported during game, and he was let know that he was traded, and he started crying, and then there was so much backlash, they pulled the trade, and he was still a Met for the rest of the year.
Wow.
Now he's a Giant. So, and batting 7th on my lineup.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's great. What is... God, their outfielders are trash. I feel like I have to play Pablo Sandoval, 1, for his overall,
Yeah.
and 2, because it's the Panda, and I'm playing against the Panda.
Yeah, that's true.
But Longoria's my third baseman. Oh, I don't know what to do, because I don't want this Duggar guy to play center field. But I don't think Longoria can play in the outfield.
I don't believe you can either.
Well, we are going to run this lineup and then make the change if necessary. And I'll probably pinch hit Pablo.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of what I figured you would do.
He will be pinch very quickly. I'm kind of ticked about the Jock Peterson thing still. We'll talk about that one later, but just seeing him in your lineup makes me angry.
I know. I was really contemplating him. I was really contemplating either taking him out of the lineup because I'm not sure if he'll actually get the start when season comes along. I'm thinking AJ Pollock might take that spot.
Probably.
But he's on my roster. I'm gonna use him.
Might as
But
well.
I was also thinking about leading off of him.
Look at this beautiful Los Angeles day. You know, feel free to hit the strike zone. Ooh, overshift, huh? Oh, well, not a good start here.
Kershaw with the windup.
A ball and a strike to the Giants.
We should have played World Series so Kershaw wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
That's bad planning on my part, apparently.
Yeah, you had your chance.
Oh, get down. Get down.
Yeah, there you go.
And no one will track it down.
Hopefully that didn't show you what my strategy is.
What?
And he
Oh!
in the dirt. Smith.
No!
There we go.
First is in time, one down.
Clayton Kershaw dropping the curveball in for the first strikeout of the year. Speaking of pitchers and the landscape of the MLB, you want to start getting into this?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, with Dodgers Giants, you might as well talk about all the new faces, and let's start with your boys in blue pulling off an epic trade after the initial free agency hit. Obviously, Mookie Betts going to the team along with David Price, which was kind of more along the lines of a salary dump for the Red Sox. they ended up paying half his salary, right?
Yeah.
They're still paying half his salary.
Every year, half of his salary is being paid by the Dodgers.
I mean, win-win for the Dodgers, a win for the Red Sox as far as dumping that salary, because the next couple free agencies they can actually spend money on a pitcher that's going to produce for them. And for the Dodgers, with a starting rotation like they have, Price might not even be the number 3 guy. So you got Kershaw, Walker Buehler. Obviously, Maeda left, was kind of part of that trade, even though it wasn't directly a part of that trade. Because you had, initially, the deal was Maeda, Verdugo, going from the Dodgers, and then there was, I believe, the Jeter Downs prospect was still part of the trade, but he was going to the Twins with Maeda.
I believe so, yeah.
And then Verdugo to the Red Sox, and the Twins pitching prospect Gratterall was going to the Red Sox, but the Red Sox ran some physicals and didn't like some things that they saw with Gratterall, so that kind of pulled the trade for him. But the Dodgers were able to make it work. They still sent Verdugo to the Red Sox. They ended up sending Jeter Downs instead of going to the Twins. He ended up going to the Red Sox, along with their catcher Connor Wong. He went as well to the Red Sox, which ended up being a good trade as far as salary dump, talent. The problem was they still wanted to dump Maeda's salary because they would have been paying a ton of taxes if they were to keep both Price and Maeda and Mookie Betts. So they ended up working a deal with the Twins to trade Maeda directly to the Twins for some prospects and cash considerations to close that deal to do a salary dump of their own. But what frustrated me, that I said a little earlier, was the whole Jock Peterson thing, because Jock Peterson's due to make some good money, and he was supposed to be a salary dump to the Angels.
Yeah.
So the Angels would get a power hitter in the outfield, which they desperately need, and they were going to send Luis Renifo, who was... Right now, he's like the second baseman on our depth chart. Because the Angels have Tommy La Stella, and they have David Fletcher, and then Renifo was third on the list, so it was an easy trade for the Angels to make. But unfortunately, with the Dodgers dragging their feet and the Red Sox kind of throwing that trade out, really ticked off the Angels owner, so he pulled out of the trade and just said, never mind. So, that's my frustration there. But the additions for the Dodgers, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you get...
You're taking a American League MVP and putting him on a team already stacked with Rookies of the Year, a reigning National League MVP, and a team that's in its current state has just come up short in the World Series twice.
Right. And I guess, for the Dodgers, no brainer. Yeah, it's a little more money that you wanted to spend, but get foul.
Yeah.
Oof.
Just a little.
But you're packing that lineup, and what, some of these MLB rule changes really play into the Dodgers' cards. Because now with pitchers having to face at least 2 batters, well, the Dodgers can stack their lineup to where no matter what, there's 2 batters that you can't pitch around. And now you bulk up your starting rotation as well. I think everyone wants, obviously, I make the jokes about Kershaw, and everyone wants to put, the weight on Kershaw. Obviously, it's a 9-inning game. You have to produce offense. But I think a big part of it is the Dodgers know that Kershaw was their ace, so they constantly go to Kershaw. But what happens if you have 2 to 3 aces? Well, if Price can get back to his 2016 form, you guys will have that.
Cool.
And we'll have to leave it
I
there.
don't know
as this-
what that was.
We won't talk about it. We'll
Yeah.
move on.
Let's just move on.
But it can really create that starting rotation depth to where the Dodgers have more flexibility come playoff time. Because people wonder why Kershaw's dominant in the regular season, not the postseason. Well, look at how much rest he gets in the regular season. There's no way Hunter Pence is going to hit a home run in real life. So if that stayed fair, I would have called BS as well.
Yeah. Not off Kershaw's curveball. Not like that.
Yeah, definitely not. But I think with the rotation that the Dodgers have now, it gives them that postseason flexibility that they have in the regular season. And that could really create some late postseason runs, which sucks as an Angels fan, but hey, you know what? What can you do?
Now here it comes.
Except, I guess, appreciate the game for what it is. Crawford, you suck. But not just the Dodgers getting, star players. You have teams all across the Major League that are signing these players to bolster up a roster that they already have stacked. And then you also have franchises that are kind of building under the radar. Like the one team that really stands out to me is the Chicago White Sox. People aren't talking about the White Sox because, they're middle of the pack, bottom of the barrel the last couple of years. But people forget Jose Abreu is a stud, and he's not going anywhere. He's fairly young. They have Moncada, who they just brought in and just gave a huge amount of money to. He's a stud. And now you bring in these new guys to start building around them. I mean, you bring in Yasmani Grandal, who was a great catcher for the Dodgers, a great catcher for the Padres. He helped the Brewers get to the playoffs.
Can we talk about that real fast? Can we talk about how good he was with the Brewers? On a team that was already stacked in Milwaukee with Christian Yelich, a bona fide MVP candidate, between him and Bellinger all season. And then you've got a guy like Yasmani Grandal, who still manages to finish 15th in the MVP voting last year. He maintained the numbers he was getting with the Dodgers. Now, coming into Chicago, I think he can keep those numbers up.
Oh, 100%. And he's going to be facing an AL Central set of teams that don't have the pitching like he was facing in the NL.
Yeah.
And you have a very favorable ballpark in Chicago. And you're probably going to see Grandal at the top of your batting average and home run list, especially in the catching position, because he's not going to have very much competition. But not only do they bring in Grandal, they bring in Dallas Keuchel, who, by the way, a couple of years ago, World Series champion, whether they're cheaters or not.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
he's World Series champ. Pitches well in the postseason. They add him, and then they add the power-hitting Edwin Encarnacion. I mean, they're developing a lineup that people aren't paying attention to because it's the White Sox. It's the second team in Chicago. But that's a team for sure that made a bunch of moves. But then you got, little moves that could prove beneficial. The Phillies getting Zach Wheeler from the Mets, a stud pitcher who was overshadowed by, the two dominant pitchers there in New York, and DeGrom and Syndergaard. But you add Wheeler to a decent rotation in Philly, but you have a lineup that's already established. You have a team that is, a couple pieces away from making a run. Well, now they just added a pitcher, so those couple pieces can come from their prospects.
Oh, wow. That's a close one, all right.
But then you have other teams like obviously the Yankees getting Garrett Cole. That was the signing of the offseason. Every single team is going after Garrett Cole, a guy that is really good in Pittsburgh, gets kind of a final showing with the Astros, and just flat out balls out, and is completely untouchable. And now he's a free agent, and he can get whatever money he wants. And as soon as you knew the Astros weren't in it, and he was just on the Astros, you had to know he was getting a ton of money somewhere. Whether it was the Dodgers, or the Angels, or the Yankees, or the Padres were in the running for a little bit. I mean, every team that had salary cap space and a decent roster to pitch to him, he was listening. And it really came down to the two LA teams and the Yankees. And honestly, for the longest time, I thought for sure the Yankees were out. Just the way he talked about where he wanted to play didn't necessarily fit with the Yankees. But he definitely put on a good front, because as soon as he signed with the Yankees, it was all about how it was his favorite team as a child, and he's always wanted to play for the Yankees. But you didn't get that at all while he was being courted around looking for a team to sign with. But he goes there, which the Yankees, the last 5 years probably, well, I guess the last 2 years they've been that once they got Stanton, but pre-Stanton and pre-Aaron Judge, you had a good 4-year stretch where it was, the Yankees weren't the Yankees of old where they just bought every good player. They were actually trying to build within their franchise.
Yeah.
And now you're back to they're buying everybody. I mean, yes, Aaron Judge came from the depths of Double A and Triple A, but you have Giancarlo Stanton, home run champion, signs in free agency. You have Garrett Cole, who now is a Cy Young winner, signs in free agency. Gary Sanchez was brought from within the company or from within the team, but that team they're getting back to buying your positions. And once the Yankees go back to that, it's going to be the Yankees battling for the AL every single time. There's good teams out there, but once you start looking at this team's good because of this player, well, that player's probably going to go to the Yankees. Oh, that's what it's doing. Are you guessing the pitches?
No.
You are, aren't you?
I'm not.
Really? You're really not?
No.
Yeah.
I may have guessed one of them. But
Okay, I was going to say, because every time you guess it, it doesn't show me the pitch meter.
Really?
Yeah, so like if you guess the right pitch, it doesn't show. I can't get it to perfect timing. Interesting. So now I actually gotta throw different pitches, not just do placement.
Yeah, not just
All
change up slow. Like you were throwing to Kershaw that whole at bat.
Well, I didn't want him to have a Madison Bumgarner moment. Okay.
I believe you mean more so along the lines of one Bartolo Colon, a.k.a. the Big Sexy.
To be honest, I didn't know we could say his name on a stream because I figured we'd owed someone like $1 million since he's the GOAT. But, yeah,
please. All we owe him is our respect.
He's the Scalabrini of baseball. The greatest player to ever live.
Yes. And also one of the greatest nicknames in the sport.
Well, yeah. I mean,
behind Rich Hill, of course.
I don't know. Boxburgers is pretty great. Just the two emojis.
Yes. That's if I were to get any player that wasn't on my team's Player Weekend jersey, it would absolutely be that one.
Oh, that's crazy. But the other team that had a ton of signings, the Reds. The Reds signed Castellanos from the Tigers.
Yes.
Mike Moustakas from the Royals, and he was on the Brewers last year, wasn't he?
Correct. Moustakas was on the Brewers the last couple of years.
Oh wow! Yeah.
That was one of my
you got-
big notes, is that he was already on that already stacked Brewers team, and now he's bringing it into another team that could easily fight for at least a wild card spot, if not the division.
For sure. Well, it's gotta show you what Moustakas sees in Cincinnati too. Because if he's leaving a team like the Brewers to join the Reds, how much is that money really worth? You know, obviously, with a guy like Moustakas, he's not making $20 million more going to the Reds. You know, he's making $5 or $6 million more. Well, is it worth it? If you're going to a terrible team where you're never going to get postseason bonuses, does it even make sense to leave a team like the Brewers? Because what if in the Brewers contract you have $6 million worth of postseason bonuses? You'll probably make the postseason with the Brewers, so you'd stay with the Brewers. So that means he sees something in Cincinnati that we don't see, which is similar to what everyone's signing with the White Sox. So when I see teams that make, you know, even though the numbers can be skewed, but if you look at, you know, MLB's top prospects, and you see 3 of the top 50 prospects are going to one team, that's got to tell you something. And especially in a game like baseball where, yes, chemistry is part of it, it's not as big as some of these other sports.
Yeah.
You know, these look back when the Yankees were dominating baseball. None of those guys grew up grew up through the farm system playing with each other. Hey, great throw, whoever you are.
That is...
Why don't you take your time next time?
Yeah.
But you got those Yankees teams
And that's
that,
double play.
you know, they have no chemistry at all, and they're winning World Series.
Yeah.
Because talent outrules that in the game of baseball. So those signings definitely interest me as far as, you know, all these players signing together in a single free agency period. Now, when it's like trades and signings, that's different. That just shows me a team that's being aggressive. But when it's free agents that are signing, you know, they're aware in these meetings who else is signing with that team.
Correct. Yeah, there has to be something there that maybe isn't so easily visible to us.
Right. Well, and then you have like little veteran guys that go to new places that maybe they're trying to reinvent themselves or trying to get another jump. I guess like Dallas Keuchel would kind of fall into those lines of a guy that was a staple in Houston, and then he signed with the Braves last year, but he didn't sign until like right before
Yes.
the signing period was over. Like, it took almost all year for him to finally get a team.
That was one thing that I think was a absolute crime about last year, because no matter how you feel about the Astros and their organization, Dallas Keuchel is a monster. He was an absolute
And his beard
monster.
is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta have the beard. But I think it is an absolute crime he did not play most of the last season. But what he did in Atlanta was kind of on par for what we've expected from Dallas Keuchel over the last few years. Maybe
Well,
a
yeah,
little
you also
down.
can't. Yeah, but you also can't take away from the fact that the guy had no spring training program, no live pitching all year. I mean, the guy's probably doing workouts and doing pitches with live batters, but you're not pitching to MLB talent. And you're probably throwing BP. I mean, you're not game time situations. So yeah, numbers were definitely down, but he also didn't have a full year spectrum. I'd be interested to see how it plays out this year with him at the White Sox, because how cool of a moment would it be for him to ball out, White Sox make the playoffs, and he can just stick the middle finger up to both the Braves and the Astros. Because this is what I can do with full season's work. But, like, Keuchel's one, Josh Donaldson's another. I mean, remember when Josh Donaldson was, like, the Oakland Athletics?
Yes.
Like, it was him and Cespedes. It was the, you know, post-Moneyball team. These guys that were, you know, weren't heavily recruited in college, weren't, you know, touted as best in their position in the draft. They go to the A's, and they just flat out ball. And Josh Donaldson had so much built around him. Actually, he reminded me a lot of Tulowitzki. When Tulowitzki obviously had way more hype going into the league, but when Tulowitzki was at his highest point, everyone wanted him. And then he goes to the same team that Donaldson ends up going to in the Blue Jays, and his career plummets. So I don't know if we need to look at the Blue Jays and call them career killers, or if it's just these players are, tapping out in these systems. That was not a good throw. Oof, brutal. All right, that's cool. Way to go, Cueto. On my screen, it totally looked like that was perfect timing. Should totally go to third.
No, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I should have.
I told you. I told you.
Because you don't have the Panda in at third, bro.
That's true.
We talked about this.
Evan Longoria. Who, every time I hear his name, I think he's related to Eva Longoria, but that's not the case.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, big time unfortunates. But obviously the team, the glorious orange team that I'm playing with, with the Giants, they had their run. What was it, like 2010 to 2014? They won like every even year.
Yeah, every even year they won a World Series. Let's not talk about it.
So you go from 3 World Series in 6 years to, okay, that's great. And don't even throw it. Okay, or throw it. That's great. To now where they can't even keep a stable roster. I mean, these guys have been plugging and playing people for... Uh-oh. Oh, I seriously thought I was going to peg you in the head.
I was going to say, please don't bean the Fresh Prince of L.A. That is his actual, what people call him, by the way.
Well, that's dumb, because he's batting 8th for the Dodgers. The Fresh Prince should be Walker Buehler, or... Bellinger doesn't need that kind of a nickname. His play pays it all out, but...
He's already got the MVP.
Yeah. Oh, great, Johnny Cueto. Let's totally strike out with this guy. The Giants, again, another season where underperform and they lose their head coach. And there's literally no off-season moves. They make a couple moves, and one of the moves was literally just to get a prospect and dump some salary. And this is a team that, honestly, it seems like the Giants are content with not competing in the NL West. It's almost like they know the Dodgers are the favorite. The Padres are, trying to get there, and the Rockies always seem to contend. And the Giants are just okay with that. They're just not going to worry about it. Because they're living in the past thinking that Buster Posey is going to carry them to the promised land. Speaking of Buster Posey. Hashtag the GOAT. It's his second double, but his speed is 6, so definitely not going to score if good old Brandon Belt here can get a base knock. But they go after Gossman and Wilmer Flores, who we talked about, the crying Matt. But that's it. Those are the only 2 moves they make. And it was almost like they needed to fill a roster. And then they made the trade for Zach Cozart from the Angels, which, again, we talked about Renifo going to the Dodgers because he was number 3 on the second base depth chart. Well, Renifo would have been 4th on the depth chart because Cozart was number 3 on the depth chart. So they send Cozart to the Giants for a prospect and cash to basically take on the contract of Cozart so the Angels could pay Rendon, who they ended up signing. Oh, okay. But it's like, you don't see teams tanking in baseball, except for the Orioles. And I feel like the Giants are trying to be the Orioles right now. But with baseball, it is so hard to tank for a purpose. Oh, roped.
Mashed potatoes get over.
Ah, dang it.
Hey, Max Muncy with the first home run of the Dodgers season.
Get out of here, chubby cheeks.
This one is out of here.
All right, Longoria. Okay, Manny Machado.
So you
Did not need to do that.
Did not need to make the whole jump.
Wanted to do the whole Derek Jeter. You're good, bud. Just plant your feet and throw.
Yeah.
Max Muncy, really? That's the guy that goes yard on me? I thought for sure it'd be Belly.
No, Belly's just going to shoot one up the middle.
So dumb. Get out of here.
I'm surprised, well, you know, you can't blame it all on the players. You know, you gotta look who's controlling them. My name's literally MediocrePanda. What are you expecting from me?
Oh, you guessed my pitch!
And it went right to you. You're welcome. I just wanted to get you out of the inning, that's all.
The error didn't even cost me the run. Gave up a dinger. Gotta be joking me right now. What an absolute El Yoka. This is like the closest thing we'll get to opening day, and it's so depressing.
I know. Well, I mean, MLB's actually done a pretty good job of, like, putting up some past games. Like, I know Kershaw's no-hitter against the Rockies, which I should have been at, is on.
I feel like you're trying to get people around you to hear that.
I mean, people who have been in my circle, you, of course, being one of them, I'm sure have heard the story plenty of times about how I happened to be, like, in the talks to go to LA for that specific game, and I made the smart-ass comment of, well, watch him throw a no-hitter now.
Yep.
And he did.
Yep.
Called my bluff.
Oh, come on, Pence.
Well,
yeah, I was watching this morning, and the Angels were playing Trout's 5 extra base hit game against the Yankees.
Yeah, I saw that one. And that's a good game, too.
Goat. Just saying. The El Goto. Oof, almost swung. Almost swung.
I thought you might. I was really hoping you would.
Well, Hunter Pence's stance is so awkward, everything looks like it's a strike. Except that. That did not look like a strike. Oh, don't walk me. I'm stealing. Oh, no! Jammed me!
Hey, Mookie! Let's go, dude.
What a name.
We're making moves out here.
Crawford. Great hair. Terrible shortstop. Actually, I say that in the game that I went to, the company that I work for, when I traveled to their Fresno store, I was there for like 3 weeks, so I drove up to San Fran to catch a Giants game. I think they played the Diamondbacks, because I wanted to see Mark Trumbo. And he balled, man. He went like 4 for 4. I think he was a double shy of the cycle.
Really?
In his last at bat, and like roped one to the fence, but he hit it so hard that by the time it ricocheted off the wall and the outfielder got it, he already had the ball in, so he couldn't even round to get to second, and he almost forced it, but then pulled back. Oh, get missed it again. I gotta stop hitting X out of habit. Oh, he's going for second. He's
did he even? Okay, my game's super lagged there, and he didn't even throw the ball. Ooh, catching that outside corner.
Kike Hernandez.
Kike's a G.
Kike seems like he is a G for sure. A white dude that pulls off that name. Does he wear glasses too?
I think he occasionally does.
Oh, blue.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Blue, you need some glasses back there.
Left side.
Go to third.
I wouldn't do that. I thought about it, but I didn't.
I would chase you down with Brandon Belt. Oh, yeah. That one tailed off near the end.
Ooh, that
well.
Power swings.
Speaking of terrible not having opening day, as this virus sweeps everything out of the norm.
Yes.
I'm curious to see how baseball actually tries to pull off their season. Like, what are they going to do? Oh, bro. Oh, no. That was a perfect throw. You should have let me do it for my trophy.
Oh.
I was literally looking at my trophies yesterday, too, and I was like, I feel like this is one that's going to take forever.
Oh.
A perfect throw to home plate to throw out the batter from the outfield. Oof.
Still no balls and 2 strikes.
Well, that was good base running on your part. Don't let it happen again.
Swing and a fly ball, but shallow.
Get there, Longoria. Oh. The Panda would have definitely not got there. So
no.
There.
Oh, Mookie.
Swinging out of his shoes. Wants that dinger.
He does. He wants it. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. Yeah, he wants it.
I apologize in advance, you Red Sox fans that are tuning in, and you are officially seeing Mookie Betts in Dodger white and blue. I am so sorry. I will try to do my best to not let him do anything cool.
Not do anything cruel. No, it's okay. I'm gonna get my just desserts later when we play the Angels, and I have to play as the Astros.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be lots and lots of base on beans.
Oh, Corey Seager with the snag.
Come on. Oh my gosh, we're already in the 8th?
Yeah, we're at the top of the 8th.
I gotta start trying. Why is Cueto still in?
I don't know. I have a feeling Pablo Sandoval's about to be in, though.
Ah, dang it.
You should probably pinch it.
I should do what now?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and get my bullpen going.
Stay with it. Oh, dude, my bullpen.
Why is...
Oh, this is brutal. This is brutal. There's a guy with a 49 overall in this bullpen.
Wow.
How do you make the game as a 49 overall? Oh, brutal.
Alright, I'm ready when you are.
Board ready, son? Oh, Panda! No!
He made that 7-speed look fast, though.
Yeah, he did. Lightning fast.
Yeah. Like a streak going right down the base path.
Like a lightning bolt. Well, I'm going to put in my only guy that's over a 70 overall.
Cody Watson. Hey, I know that name. I'm going to change my... Well, no, not subs. Bullpen.
Walking down the street. Oof. Big
Muncie.
oofs.
Are you afraid of Muncie? You're afraid.
I am, and now I have to figure out what pitches are what, because I almost just threw. Yeah, right into the shift.
Yep.
Let's get it.
Justin Turner, the red blur. That's the middle. Alright, just like that.
Let's
like that,
go.
Here comes the reigning National League MVP. Alright. And here comes former almost an angel, Jock Peterson.
Hey, I did it. I played a game without giving up a dinger to Belly. No. Yes.
That was a quick and painless inning.
Put in Jensen. Do it. Yes. Let's pepper this fool. No, I even swung late.
Let's pepper this fool. One pitch, one out. All right.
All right, Posey, you know what to do.
Yeah, he jumped all over that first pitch last time up. Interested to see if he has the same approach this AB.
Dude, Jensen's freaking stance. Oh, that was a good pitch. Low key, did not think that was going to be a slider.
Oh,
high heat.
and you're out of here.
All right, Brandon Belt, you know what to do, my friend. If the ball comes close to you, jack it.
Here it comes. Nothing in one. In line for the victory is Clayton Kershaw.
Yes, Vescursion, it was well below the knees.
Down the line in left. The move is Peterson, but this will land untouched. Crowd of over 39,000 on their feet.
Nerve-wracking.
And fouls it off. Staying alive.
Last strike here for the Giants. And he turns on
Get
sending it high and
to
right. And this
No!
gets into the wall. And now that'll hop over the wall, so he'll be two away on a ground rule double.
No! Dude, that was it. That needed to go yard.
I thought I had it, dude. I thought.
Swing and they're up against it now as they're down to their final strike of the afternoon.
He's got to find a way to set
Here we go, strike three.
Dang, good pitch.
Dodgers win opening day. Kenley Jansen with the save. Kershaw with the win. Our top player of the game goes to Max Muncy with the solo dinger.
I had 4 hits, 3 of them extra bases.
I guess Clayton gets player of the game with his 5 strikeouts, 3-hit performance. Buster Posey with 2 doubles.
Yep. BP holding it down.
Cueto with a nice 7 strikeouts for 7 innings of work.
Holding it down.
Holding it down. Now what's coming up on CasonPoint? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the sooner rather than later goings-ons.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you asked. To cover, but I've actually been putting together some notes for some show opportunities that I got coming up. But the big thing that I wanted to promote is this Sunday. midday, we are going to be doing a live show. We're working on platforms right now, but it will definitely be in the form of, a Facebook Live, Instagram Live, things of that nature. And we're going to do a live show, and we're going to talk about the CasonPoint first ever NFL mock draft. We haven't decided if we're going to do a first round or a first 2 rounds. It'll probably be just a first round, and we'll talk about some other things. But super stoked to do our first live. Why does it let me go to the home team?
Yeah, it wasn't letting me go to away either. Do you want to just set it up?
Well, the Angels are away.
Oh, are they?
They're in Houston.
I thought they were in Anaheim. I thought.
No, they're in Houston.
Forgive me, but I just want to be 100%.
MLB schedule. Yeah, Angels at Astros.
Angels at Astros.
Postponed. But yeah, that's the plan. Is running a live and doing kind of a quick catch-up. The big thing that I really wanted to touch on was, we did the Mamba moments after the passing of Kobe Bryant, and we were down to our final matchup, and we never got to finish that. So we're going to talk about how that played out, and then we'll dive into how sports are continuing at their current state, and then dive right into the mock draft, which is going to be super exciting. And then hopefully after that, we're going to pick right back up into weekly episodes, get some content out. My plan is to set a schedule of breaking down each division. So each week I'll break down each division in the NFL and just talk about the additions, what they've lost, their expectations, their schedule, really dive into each individual team in the division, which will probably take me an hour per division. So that'll give me a good 8 episodes to dive into, and then we can kind of break down some projections and that kind of stuff. So that's the plan. We're starting Sunday with the live, and then we're going to work from there and hopefully get right back onto track. I was really bummed. We had some really good guests lined up with the whole Kobe thing going down. It was super easy to get people to want to come in and talk. But obviously with coronavirus and all that stuff, it's kind of died everything down. So we're having to change it up a little bit, but I'm stoked that we're able to do a live, and I can't wait to see how that works out. So
beautiful. And now, where are we going to be able to find these this live show that you're doing tomorrow?
We're still working on that right now. The plan is to get some sort of platform up to where it can go everywhere. So it'll be in multiple places, and then I will also be recording the audio. So the audio will be placed as the 24th episode on all your podcast streaming devices, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all that stuff. But the live itself, we're not 100% sure if we're just going to do it here on Facebook, or if we're going to do it on Twitch, or if we're going to do it on YouTube, or we're going to do it everywhere. Kind of like what we're doing right now, where it's on Twitch, but we're streaming it to Facebook Live. We might do something of that nature, so we can get it at multiple platforms to really try to branch out and get people to watch, because I know that everyone is quarantined right now, and Sunday was a big sports day, but we obviously don't have sports right now. So trying to give people some content, some discussion points, things to think about. And yeah, that's the plan.
All right.
I'm giving Heen Dog the start Not Otani.
You're gonna give Heen, boy?
Yep, and I'm gonna put Otani in my lineup.
You know, as a former Dodger player and seeing who they've got left, I've gotta give Grink the start.
Good old Grink. Alright, this is where I'm gonna make some adjustments.
Yeah, Josh Reddick.
Shohei is definitely getting the DH nod. Now the question is, do I want Albert?
No, this will have to be our lineup.
I kind of want Fletcher to be in. I like Fletch. Fletch is a stud. I'm going to play Fletcher at second. Sorry, Pujols.
No.
Yep, I'm gonna do it. Alright, so let's do, we're gonna switch this up. We're gonna put Trout at the 3 spot. Getting some lefties near the front of the lineup. I like that, and I'll probably pitch hit Pujols if Listella isn't performing, which is probably going to be the case. Oof, brutal. Oh, it's so nice to finally see an all-star third baseman on the Angels.
For the first time since Troy Gloss.
Yeah, well, it's like so many swings and misses at that position.
Yeah.
They tried to bring in, after they brought in Pujols, they tried to bring in, God, now his name's blanking, but the dude from the Cardinals. Pretty sure he was a World Series MVP the year they won it. God, why can't I think of his name?
David Freese won it?
Thank you, Freese. That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They brought in Freese to the Angels to, hey, we finally got a third baseman. He sucked. Then they signed Zach Cozart. He sucked. So they've been fighting for these third basemen, and finally, instead of going after a guy just past his prime, they're getting Rendon, who is right in his prime.
Lifted in the air out to center field.
Alright, to him. Good job, Fletch. But it's so nice to finally see an all-star on the good old Halos. Hopefully we can finally start winning games for good old Mikey. It's gotta be like the most frustrating thing when you're literally the greatest player this game has ever seen and your team can't help you get to the playoffs.
Yeah. Speak of the devil, here he is.
Speaking of the GOAT.
Now the 2-1 pitch.
Oh.
Oofs.
That's
big oofs.
That's one way to start it off.
Hit fairly well out towards straightaway center.
Right to him.
Strong is going to have
that was painless. Speaking of pains, man, I have a feeling these guys might feel some pain when the season starts.
I'm debating on who I'm going to hit first.
If I might make a suggestion,
it's probably going to be Altuve.
That would be my suggestion.
But I feel like Bregman and Correa deserve it too.
Yeah, they really do. Mostly.
I'm slowly starting to regret starting King Dog.
Already? You've thrown 5 pitches.
Yep. Okay, Trout, what are you doing, bud?
So here in the first inning, the leadoff man's
That's what he wanted you to do. Oh,
Effort to bring it back in quickly, but he's in at
He
second
wanted the
base
double.
for the double. To the plate now, Jose Altuve.
oh,
Oh.
don't dodge it.
Past meetings with Andrew Heaney, he has an even 10 hits in 25 tries. He also has 1 home
Oh,
run.
quick
What?
counts are on.
Misses there for ball 4, so runners are
Oh,
at first and
gross.
second
Why
now with
quick
nobody
counts
out.
on?
I was like, why did that do that? And then I
Yeah.
realized
In there for
I was like,
Brantley's
why does he
walking
have a
out with a 1-1
3-1 count? This is garbage.
over at second. Altuve at first with no outs. Right back to the mound could be an easy 2.
Ooh, Simmons, so smooth at short.
Turn the double play.
Yes. I do enjoy some Andrelton
So a man at
Simmons.
third here with 2 gone, and that'll bring up the LSU product, Alex Bregman.
Now, only if the Angels spent money on pitching.
Fouled off.
Like,
1 and 2.
they were obviously one of the teams that was fighting for Garrett Cole, and then once they did get Garrett Cole, it was almost like they forgot they needed pitchers.
They were kind
They
of just
traded
over
for
it.
Bundy, who Bundy was like a huge prospect, and then fizzled out because he played for the Orioles.
1-1 home.
And then they signed Julio Teheran, who hasn't been a household name since like 2008.
Limiting base hits usually turns in outings where his hits per 9 numbers are really respectable, and obviously that goes a long way.
Get out.
Oh, hang
That's-
on now.
See ya.
Ball is crushed into left field.
Perfect.
Goodbye, Anthony Rendon, making his presence felt here in LA.
Opening day dinger.
Hey, you know what? Congratulations, Anthony Rendon. You got the chip, and now you got the home run.
Now you just get to hit dingers for a team that's not going to make the playoffs. Congratulations. Enjoy your contract. Now the phenom, the straight phenom, getting a crappy quick count.
And right into the shift. But this is a foul ball. As the
But we're going to make do.
1 and 2.
Aren't we, Shohei? You god.
Here it comes.
Oh, good pitch. That was such a good pitch.
See, these quick counts, I don't like these quick counts. However,
Really
you
played
have
into your
fallen for
favor
my
on that one.
curveball every time I've thrown it, including last game.
Get down. No. Alright, Springer, you're getting pelted next inning.
You are getting absolutely mashed.
Brian Goodwin, he'll work on keeping this top of the second alive.
I'm going to try something.
Frankie ready now.
This is probably going to go horribly, but
And now
Yep,
bunted
definitely
to
not what I
get
wanted
this
to do.
one down. And he'll just make the tag himself.
I was aiming for against the shift.
Yeah.
Did not work. No one said I was good at this game.
So here's Yuli
See, if
Gurriel.
we were playing backyard baseball, it'd be a different
Oh,
story.
backyard baseball, it'd probably be like 99 to 100.
Obviously,
It would depend on who gets Pablo.
Yeah, for real. Who gets Pablo and who gets Gagne?
And Achman.
Yeah. Pete Wheeler.
Pete Wheeler for sure. It's got to be your leadoff.
Yeah.
Swung on.
Oh!
Mashed.
Forget about it. Gone as it's into the
Keen
Crawford
Dog,
boxes.
what are you doing?
And we have a tie game.
That was quick.
That was. It's the
Stepping
second
in
inning.
now, Carlos Correa. And a breaking ball runs in and gets him. And I doubt
How'd
Look
that
at
feel,
that.
Correa?
It's the second inning, and we've doubled the amount of runs this last game.
Martin Maldonado, 1 in, 1 out, and 1 on.
Martin.
Yes, the former Angel. They had to start with that. I was gonna pelt him, but they said former Angel.
He's got that nasty sinker. I know it's 0-2, but he might not be looking
Because
for
that's
the
what we
punch out.
do.
You have to
We
find a
take
way
care
as
of our
well to
own.
get that
Oh,
two-seamer
no.
up in his
In the
zone.
gap.
Simmy, how did you not get that? You're literally a diamond defender. Speaking of diamond defender, this gameplay has been shoddy
Has to be a challenge.
ever
Yeah.
since this game dropped.
Probably doesn't want to flirt with loading the bases.
He sends it out to left field.
Oh, God.
Well hit. Into the Crawford
Gone.
boxes and gone.
Dinger.
Another one.
Another one.
I
God, I
don't
hate
want
the
to play as the
Astros.
Astros. They're good.
Hit hard to the right. Foul.
I
do
hate
not like
it.
this.
Which is why
what
when
did I say?
when we get into our division predictions, I'm gonna feel a little bad.
So the bases are clear now.
See, why are they giving me 3-1 counts? Come on. If he dodges one, then he walks. Stupid.
Umpires issued a warning to both benches.
They think that was intentional, and I've got to say, I think I do too. And now you see the
Oh, that definitely wasn't intentional.
He's going to warn both benches.
And that's the right thing to do by any umpire, Matt.
This is intentional.
Oh, that ball comes in
And he dogs out.
And that hit batsman may be the one that breaks the camel's back.
Dusty seems pretty angry in the,
Oh,
in the
Dusty's
fucking
ticked.
dugout. And there goes Heaney.
No, Matt, that's pretty much.
Did you have someone in the pen? Or
Nope.
Nope.
Anything that comes in that tight is going to be
Okay.
I was gonna let my first batter warm up by beating someone else. Let's see here. Bullpen is also garbage.
Well, while we have a moment here, I just want to say thank you guys for everyone who's followed over the last 24 hours. We've seen a huge spike. Over the last 24 hours, we've gotten 5 new followers.
Ba-boom.
So, Kitty from last night, thank you. Koiji, thank you. CasonPoint Show, hey, that's you.
Hey.
Hey, that's you. Hey, thanks for the follow.
You are welcome.
Jalen5, Jesse, thank you so much. Tunes44, thank you. Dad. Thanks for the follow. So we're now 7 followers away from 50, a milestone I feel like we've been going for forever. I absolutely mashed that, but it was so early.
So
But
frustrating.
thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you.
Oh, come on, that was a punch out.
No, dude, please, I've played this one. As I almost swung at that.
You did.
Just a foul. Damn it. Damn. Yuli Gurriel.
I really wanted to beat Bregman, but I wasn't willing to give up another run.
Another run and another pitcher, because they probably toss your pitcher. And that's a pop-up for the third out. Come on, everyone home, baby. All right.
Woohoo! Alright, well, you're actually making me work for it. I don't like this.
He'll lead it off against Zach Greinke to open up the inning.
So, do you know how often I play with the Astros? Give you a hint.
Yeah, for real.
But I have been playing with Zach Greinke for years, so.
Roped.
And they'll have to play this now to
Simba, you made up for your terrible infield play.
And he will get there as the Angels are in business with a leadoff double.
2-2 count.
At the plate now, Jason Castro.
Oof.
Changeup swung on and missed for the
Was quite
Digging in for his second at-bat, David Fletcher. He flew out in his last at-bat. Off is Simmons. Smoke up the middle. He gets dirty.
He's
Good
gone
old hit and run there.
It's a base hit. And that'll score the runner from second as
I
the
said
lead
to go
is
to.
cut
Okay, I said to
4-2
go
now.
to second, put it through home. So. $60 game, by the way.
Why does it keep giving me these 1-2 counts and it's giving you 3-1 counts?
This is on the ground to
Double
first.
play,
3-2.
garbage.
Over to Gurriel for an inning-ending double play.
Lame.
Man,
Alright,
what
no
play by
way.
the first baseman.
Now is the designated hitter.
This is the
Alvarez.
third inning.
He got a hold of one
Remember how
and
fast the last game went?
first appearance in
Yep.
this one. And
Oh.
good patience
Oof.
exercise
And we're on
as he
quick
works out
counts.
the walk
Yeah,
to
this
lead
is-
off the home
This
half
is
of the
trash.
Here's Carlos Correa now.
No, 1-1.
official
Here we go.
at-bat for him, but he has scored a run in this one. Can't keep the weight back, and he falls behind
That was
1
a
and 2.
curveball? Yeah, of course it was.
Hoping to send him packing. Pitch on its way.
Yeah.
They got him.
Who throws an 83
You
mile
really
an hour
like
changeup?
those changeups.
And up
Yeah,
next,
dude.
the former
Changeups are my
Angel
kryptonite.
Martin Maldonado.
That and inside sliders.
Inside sliders duly noted.
4-2 our score.
You don't have to worry because Noe Ramirez does not have a slider.
Hanging with him, another good swing to keep it going.
Oh, and knuckle curves are also just...
Knuckle curves are everyone's kryptonite in this game. They're so OP. It's dumb.
Wait, what am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing, bro?
Throw back to first.
I thought there were 3 outs already.
On to first, and they get the double play.
Thought that was the
Barely
third
got
out.
there. Good old Justin Upton's strong arm in left field.
Just rolled it in. It could have been like the Sandlot. He could have ran it in. He would have been just as fast.
Mike Trout, so far 0 for 1 with a
Got around third.
Matty almost went deep his last AB. Certainly
Come on.
missed it.
1-1
This guy's
count,
big
huh?
power, he's feeling pretty good at the dish. Look for him
Oh,
to try and
he's
get on
doing
something.
it. Oh, he
Tried
didn't
that
do it.
hard this AB.
1-1.
I really got depressed there.
I'll pitch to my Trout.
Oh, foul. Yes. Thank
I'll
God.
pitch to my Trout.
1 and 2 now. And he'll lay off the curveball that's in the
I really wanted that.
back to even
I
now,
really
2-2.
wanted that. Oh, you bastard.
On a pitch in the dirt, Maldonado
Again?
goes to get
I
it.
was like, there's no way he's doing it again.
And I did it again.
And there's one away.
Whoops.
And that one was dirtier than the first one.
One man gone, and that'll bring up
When
the
you said you wanted it, I was like, oh yeah, you do.
This guy's a good fastball hitter.
A 1-2 count after I hit a dinger the last
Pitch him
inning.
a little bit differently this time.
Still almost did. That was so far outside.
Run for the center fielder.
Holy moly.
And makes a fine run
Dude,
at second
Rendon's
for the
such a stud.
He is. I'm
Shohei Ohtani
kind of
digging
super
in
jelly.
next. He was a strikeout victim in his first try.
I will say this. I still would have rather had Garrett Cole.
Oh wow, they gave me the strike on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not talk about that. I know what pitch is coming too.
And it's fouled.
Definitely did not know what pitch was coming.
You didn't know the high fastball was coming?
Nope, did not see that.
The next 1-2 pitch. Slider laid
Alright, well
off.
the outside
Slider.
slider didn't work.
Pulled high in the air
Oh.
to right field. Springer has
Come
The outside
on,
slider didn't work.
Ohtani.
The inside one did though.
that retires the side.
Ohtani, buddy, killing me.
See, if Kershaw didn't pitch so well in that last game, I could have brought in Ross
Hit a
Stripling
big 3-run
to
bomb in his
use
first
his
plate
knuckle
appearance.
curve.
And I'm sure as he
Yep.
slides to the plate
That
right
is
here, he's certainly gotta have a
absolutely
little bit
gnarly.
more
His
confidence.
and
But that's not his
I think
game.
Joe
He's
Kelly
gotta
throws
get
a knuckle
back to what
curve as
makes him
well.
successful.
Oh god, that's
Put the
okay.
bat
Thanks for
on the
swinging.
baseball and try and drive something right back up the
Oh, he's
96
96
speed.
speed.
And the throw will indeed take care of
He
him
is
for the
fast.
first out.
He is.
Here's George Springer, and if you remember, he took home a Silver Slugger award for
Ugh.
AL
Oh, George
Outfielders a year
Springer.
ago.
Whoops, the ball slipped out of my hand and hit you in the head. Full count.
Ready with the payoff pitch. Had him
Oh,
with the
whoops,
swing
I
through a
swung.
curveball, 2 down.
Oh, Altuve, huh?
Bases are empty here with 2 gone.
Oh, that's
Striking in
awesome.
Speedy second baseman Jose Altuve. The 2-1. Rounded weakly down the
I
line
was going
for
to try to
third.
mash one.
Rendon.
Fun.
Throw to first, he'll get
Slinging it.
and his side is retired.
Ugh.
That would have been
Dude,
rude, but it would have been really funny to just
Into
pull
the
it back
I like-
and mash
Justin
one.
Upton.
I like how
First
after
at
the
bat,
whole
over
Astros
one
scandal that
so far.
happened, not a single free agent signed there.
Yeah. They only lost people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it makes me wonder, like, if Greinke wasn't acquired at the trade deadline, would he have signed there?
I doubt it.
Good job going down and hanging with it that time.
Crazy. Trash cans are probably
Banned
clearance
from
items in
Minute
Houston now.
Maid. Probably
Swing
banned
and
for
a
Minute
miss.
Why did I swing at
Way
that?
out of the zone, and there's one away.
Happy you did, but
Ready now, Brian Goodwin.
Ugh, brutal.
Now the 1-1 pitch
Brutal.
is looked at for ball number 2.
Little inside there. Little inside there. So, as a Dodgers fan,
All even
how
now, 2-2.
hurt were you
Not surprised he's laid on a heater right there.
after the
Just
news
falling
of
off
the
speed pitch,
scandal?
wanted to stay back a little bit too
After the
Oh, get down.
Pops him up.
Get down.
oh, unbelievable, dude.
Not in time, and he's in there with a double.
Finally it worked, hitting against the shift.
At the plate, Andrelton Simmons lifted in the air out towards left center.
Dang it.
Brinkley on the move. He makes the catch, and the runner from second will tag and head for third. The relay, and they'll make it into third base. F7.
Come on, Castro. Base hit scores a run.
Jason Castro, the catcher, is in. Runner in scoring
Base
position
hit.
with two gone.
Base hit. Oh, why are you swinging? Why are you swinging?
Swung up. Gone.
Oh, the curveball betrayed me.
The number 9 hitter, the catcher.
Filth.
Oh, dude, thank you. I just got a trophy, down but not out, because I was down by 3 runs.
David Fletcher.
Nice.
Inside as he falls behind
Let's
to a
go.
3-1. Tommy LaStella would be next.
Listen, I just wanted to make sure we were all having fun here.
And it's up to a 3-2.
Oh, man.
Alright, Fletch. Come on, buddy.
Now
That
the
right
payoff pitch home.
Come on, buddy.
Let's go. Punch out.
This one out towards second.
Not quite.
Dang it.
On to the first baseman, Gurriel.
So,
and that will
as a
end the
Dodger
inning.
fan, it was, it sucks. As a person who's known for liking pretty mediocre teams their entire
Here's
life,
Brantley.
CasonPoint, being a Raider fan, been kind of
Ground to the left
okay with mediocrity for a while.
Get it, it's through
Yep.
into the outfield.
But the Dodgers, you could see it back in, 2011
into the box, Alex Bregman.
was when the wheels really started to turn in LA.
Strike, but he can't get a glove on it. It's through for a base hit.
And I'm out.
The tag and they get him at
Toast.
third. What a throw!
You are slow, my friend. But it's just it's heartbreaking when you think you have it, and
Yeah.
Runner holds as the count moves
it's just
2-1.
yeah, it's hard to put into words all the time.
Pops this one up. Simmons has a play,
But I mean,
and he makes the catch for the second out.
there's not much.
Next will be the designated hitter, Yordan Alvarez.
There's not much else we can
Drive
do
another
since
one out
the
of park, just
the
like
commissioner's
Jack
made it
Gibson.
pretty apparent that he's not going to punish any players.
He's a pansy.
Yeah,
Goodwin
and
there, and he puts it away to
so there's not much
the
else we can
side.
do. I've heard all the arguments against it, being like, oh, Dodgers did lose Game 7
Digging
at
in
home.
once again,
They did.
Tommy LaStella, 0 for
That is
2 on his
100%.
line thus far.
Yeah.
You could make the same argument for a lot of things. A lot of things could have been different in that series.
Now the 1-1
Like the incredible,
offered at and missed.
what was it,
Chased it.
12-inning epic we had
That was an ugly swing.
in Minute Maid.
Now I'm throwing that same pitch again. Was
That finished
Yep.
like 11-10.
Had to sit back on
Yep.
the changeup, and it
That
didn't
game
get the
actually
bat
was
on
like
that one.
the best World Series game that I've watched in at least a decade. Ooh, nice pitch.
But doesn't that feel like just a little tarnished now?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, knowing that, sure, on the outside looking in, that was an amazing game of baseball.
3-2 pitch.
But
He jumps
That's
on this
gone.
one. It's high and deep to center. See you later. Over the wall. Home run.
I thought I was going to
My
get away
boy.
with not giving a dinger to Mike Trout. Didn't work.
My boy and the one man I would allow my wife to
Now,
cheat on me
Anthony
with.
Rendon.
Mike Trout.
Ball and 2 strikes now.
With the dinger.
Ugly 0-1 swing there. As a pitcher, you've got to be hunting for the strikeout, knowing you have this guy way off balance.
Oh, fine, I swing at that. Yeah, I mean, I agree, and obviously as an innocent bystander, as a sports lover, it's trash because it makes baseball look weaker than what it really is, and it makes the commissioner look like an absolute joke. But I think there's a fine line between being upset and being crazy. Like the one thing I couldn't stand was all the Dodger fans saying that they deserve the title.
Yeah.
When there's just so many what ifs that you can't do that, and I felt like it was just a really poor choice of I guess you could say media usage. It was a poor choice of resources for the Dodgers. Like, I get you're frustrated. I understand. Like, if I was in that boat, I probably would have been to the rallies. But for the Dodgers to buy into it and the Dodgers to spend time on that, it kind of makes you look weak too.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Dodgers were playing into this storyline when it shouldn't even be a storyline. The Astros cheated. They should have been punished properly, which they were not. And they weren't. Tough luck. Rub it off. Move on. I think the commissioner dropped the ball in allowing the players to run this league, because you can't tell me if something like that happened in basketball or in football, the commissioners wouldn't be doing something to the players. You're crazy to think that they would. Look at Goodell. He suspended Josh Gordon his entire career for marijuana and now is making it legal. So you can't just put this on the coach and the GM when the players are the ones doing it. I didn't see the coach banging on the trash can.
Yeah.
I understand he's the manager, he goes down with the ship, but he gets the ultimate punishment when he wasn't even physically doing it. I do agree with Beltran and Cora losing their jobs, though.
Yeah.
That was obviously Beltran being a player at the time. That's kind of like a player of that team being punished. But
plus, with the way his role was being kind of described as kind of like the ringleader, it makes sense that if you're gonna take the brunt of it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I still think there's just too many what ifs on like the player side, like who should have got punished, but then there's also the clear players that were a part of this ring of cheating that you could have laid punishment down to. I'm really bummed that we're not having a full season though, because I would have loved to see how the Astros perform in a full season.
Yeah.
With quote unquote not cheating now.
Yeah. I know we've discussed this off air a few times, but it's the one thing that I don't feel too good about is just like Dusty Baker doesn't deserve this.
Oh, not at all.
I don't know why I threw to second.
He was just so fast.
Yeah.
You thought he was running all the way around.
But no, Dusty Baker has been a part of this league for so long. He doesn't deserve to get caught up in all this ish with these dumb players that I feel the whole team should have been punished, not just like key players. Like you're all to be held accountable as professionals, and if you can't hold yourself accountable, then you're going to be held in contempt with these guys.
I hold myself in contempt.
This guy's definitely a good hitter.
Oh, Tuve, botch it.
I wish he would have. And we're at the top of the order for the Astros.
Leading off the inning, George Springer.
Well, now that we're through the seventh inning stretch,
This thing's far from
should we get
over,
into our
even though we're
predictions?
moving into the back end of
Are
this
too
game.
early to call
do it.
predictions?
Down by one.
Let's
All
do
they
it.
need to do is get
Let's
this
go.
lead off, Ryan.
Let's start with the
They're an
American
extra
League
base
by
hit away from
division.
tying this thing up.
Great
Um,
change up there in the dirt for the third
Let's start with the
And
East,
throw
because I feel like the East is kind of one of the easier ones to call.
Oh, it's easy, 100%. If you don't say the Yankees, then you're blind.
Yeah, I too also think the Yankees are. They're one of the best teams in baseball. ESPN holds them at number 2 in the power rankings on what would have been opening day.
Well off the plate for a ball.
And they've got the
would
roster
say-
to back that up.
Oh, 100%. 100%. The Red Sox are out. They don't have enough to make up what they lost.
Do they have a manager yet?
I
I feel like they should at this point. At least have an
Good
interim
question. I thought
manager.
they did. I thought they did sign someone. I just don't know who it is. Trout, what are you doing?
And this will find the wall out near the visitors' bullpen.
Just being swung out. Let me have an extra bit.
That's great. Trout, you just put someone in scoring position. That's cool.
Alex Bregman up.
Well, we are going to definitely put someone in the bullpen.
I need to get bullpen going. The Astros don't have a single lefty in their bullpen.
That seems to be like the case for a lot of people nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. They announced Ron Renicky as their manager.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ron Renicky was actually the Brewers' old manager,
So now
and he was also on the Angels coaching staff when they won the World Series,
but a foul ball.
All right.
1-2 the count now.
along with the new Angels manager Joe Madden, because he's a stud. Oh,
I do have much love for Joe Madden.
he's a baller. He actually he started a biking like video blog where he stayed in Arizona, so he's living in like an RV park with his wife, and he literally rides his bicycle around the RV park and talks baseball. It's absolutely amazing. Get out, Fletcher.
Wow, that was a laser to the left field. That was incredibly embarrassing. Zach Greinke, get off my field.
I'm so happy I put Fletcher in over Pujols.
Is on the pitch here in the 8th with nobody out.
Let's see how this goes. Well, I can't throw that though.
And he'll step off and try and
Right now.
bases are empty.
Nope, you gotta hit the strike zone, bud.
Allegedly.
Now, Tommy LaStella. A swing and a drive sent out toward the gap. Brantley going back.
Oh, of course he picks the deepest part of the outfield.
He makes the catch.
Makes you feel like you're playing at Polo Grounds, doesn't it?
Digging in to try it again.
Of course you're going to hit it to the deepest part of the field.
Boy, this guy right here.
If you don't hit it down the foul line, that's basically what you're doing.
He hits a bomb, and as a pitcher,
Oh,
There
Trout.
we go,
a guy
yes!
like this, if he has pop to hit it,
That's what I was
No.
looking for.
This guy down and away down on the corner.
Trout, no. However, so going back to predictions, AL East, don't be surprised if the Blue Jays make a run.
Yeah, you thinking Blue Jays are kind of your dark horse?
I would say they're my wild card dark horse for sure. They're definitely not winning the division.
That was a really nice
But
pitch, and it can be a
with
really tough one
Vlad
to lay
Jr.,
off of as a hitter.
Bo Bichette, they have Biggio's kid. I mean, that team is built for the future, and it might not be this year, but definitely for years to come. But I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run for the wild card. I'm actually thinking that Dang
I
it.
don't mind them trying to drive the ball in.
I'm actually thinking that it's going to be them and my Halos in the wild card.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A little bit more over.
Yeah, I too also have the Yankees winning the AL East, as you said. It's kind of a no-brainer. Looking at the surrounding talent and all, including their new acquisition of Garrett Cole. I mean, it's just they've shown that they are.
Inevitable.
Yeah. Moving into the AL Central, I have the Twins continuing their run that they started last year.
Interesting.
I think it looks like they've kind of kept that core together, and I think with having Kenta Maeda to kind of bolster that rotation, that bullpen, because I think he's relieving still. I don't think he's starting anymore. So he's kind of
probably not
bolstering that bullpen a little bit more. I think Minnesota is gonna. I think they're gonna take the Central.
Interesting.
But I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be very, very close with who I think is going to take the first wild card spot.
And who would that be?
That being the Chicago White Sox. I think it's going to be like a down to the wire 2 or 3 game difference for the division, and whoever doesn't get the division is getting the first wild card spot.
So this was actually the toughest division for me. Not because of talent depth, but because of potential. I think the White Sox will just barely miss the wild card. I think that it will come down to... I think the Angels, the White Sox, and the Blue Jays will be very close to each other. And if the White Sox young talent starts faster than the Blue Jays, then obviously the White Sox would kind of take that edge. But I think the Indians are going to take the division.
Really?
They have the talent. They have the experience. Terry Francona is a fantastic manager.
Yes.
People forget that their pitching was awful last year because one of their starting pitchers was diagnosed with cancer. But Carlos Carrasco is supposed to be back. So they're going to have a full rotation back to where they were from the World Series days. They might not get the production out of it, but when you look at the division that they're playing with, I think the Royals and Tigers are tanks. You have the White Sox, who have a ton of potential, but can they do it? And then the Twins, like you said, they have a returning roster. They added some pieces. I just don't know if what they brought in and what they spent their money on, bringing in Donaldson, is going to prove enough. So my vote is Indians take the division, and the White Sox are very close with the wild card, but I think only one from the AL Central makes the playoffs.
Really?
Yep. So let's go to my division, the glorious AL West.
Correct.
Obviously, my vote would be the Angels, but I'm not stupid. The talent level of the Astros is just going to be too much for any of the teams in that division. The Mariners are a
Walk
tank
off
job.
opportunity.
Oh, and you guessed it. Oh!
Oh! What a catch at second there.
Good old Fletchy.
Oh, wow, that was way outside. Wow, and I guessed that and everything. Oh, he's so short.
Struck him
That would
out.
be a. I just want to say that would be a strike to a normal person.
Throwing shade where we can get it. Oh, he's hungry, ladies and gentlemen.
Hungry. He's very
He's
hungry.
hungry for a dinger.
He's not
Okay,
swinging.
not
He's
that
not
hungry.
swinging at that though. Please, it's got to be edible.
I had to try. Alright.
Bregman on deck. You better throw it in the zone.
to first.
And he did. And I swung at it anyway.
Woohoo!
Good game, sir.
Game is over.
But we have to
Yes.
continue this discussion.
We do. So, I'm voting Astros. I think Angels make the wild card. I think the Angels would have to be close within the race to possibly make some trade deadline moves to overcome the Astros. I don't think their current roster can pull it off.
Well, Jason, I guess I just have a little bit more faith in your Halos than you do.
Dang,
Because I
okay.
took the Angels to win the division.
Oh, snap.
I think it will be close, but I think Houston's gonna fall a little flat. I don't think they're gonna keep up with their hype that they've put into coming into the season. I think the Angels are gonna come out strong. I think Rendon is gonna be one of the major pieces they needed. I think a healthy Shohei Ohtani will be a huge help. Is he pitching this year?
Yes. So they obviously the season being postponed, he's probably going to make the opening day start because he's on track to pitch. They were probably going to postpone it to like May or June, but if the season doesn't start till June, then he might be the opening day starter.
Beautiful. So, I bet they will make some moves coming up at the trade deadline. And I think they'll come out strong, and I think they'll finish strong. And
Well, that would be fantastic.
I think they take the division, and I think the Astros will take wild card slot number 2. Maybe
Interesting
half
how
a
we
game
didn't
under
pick
Chicago.
the A's, and they're in the top 10 power rankings.
Yeah, the A's. They've been really consistent over the last few years. It's been really fun watching them play.
Yeah, I mean they have Chris Davis who's a stud, Matt Chapman's a stud, but I don't know. I don't see enough potential there to keep up with star talent that the Angels have, and obviously the star talent that the Astros have. I think it's just going to be too much.
So let's jump over to the National League. And let's go back to the East. We'll work our way from East to West again.
Oh yeah.
Well,
MLB The Show's coverage.
NL East champs. Who and why?
Atlanta Braves.
Atlanta Braves.
Best overall roster. Probably the best young talent in the game with Dansby Swanson,
Yes.
Albies, Acuna. They just have the perfect balance. Freddie Freeman's a stud. I don't see. It's one of those this one was probably my second hardest division, and this was strictly because there's so many teams that have a shot.
Yeah.
There's no what if factor. Like everyone knows the Marlins aren't going to do it.
Yeah.
The Mets, if they can get their pitching back to where it was, the Mets have a chance. The Nationals, they're reigning World Series champions. Yes, they lost Rendon, but they kept Strasburg. They kept Patrick Corbin. They kept, obviously Juan Soto's not going anywhere. They have a stacked team. Victor Robles is a stud. And then you have the Phillies with Bryce Harper. I mean, I think the Phillies are going to be similar to what they were last year. I don't see the Braves, and how young they were last year making a run, I don't see the Braves slowing down.
Yeah. I also picked the Braves. They were kind of, I wouldn't say they were the hardest for me. I actually have the division stacking up the exact same as last year, with the Nationals getting the wild card spot.
Yeah.
But everything you said, Braves, they have such a good young core, and they've been really on fire the last couple seasons. I know the Dodgers playing them in the postseason 2 years ago. That was a stressful series.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I've also got the Braves with Nationals taking wild card spot number 1 from me.
I wouldn't be surprised if the wild card consists of NL East teams.
Yeah, that is a definite possibility. It's kind of like what everyone was saying about the Central Division last year, with teams like Milwaukee and St. Louis and Chicago, and not as much Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh kind of, and Cincinnati.
So speaking of the Central, who do you got out of the Central?
I've got St. Louis taking the Central.
Really?
I think they've got a really good core that's mostly stayed together. I think it will be close with Cincinnati. I think the Reds will take wild card spot number 2. But St. Louis has always managed to put together a pretty strong team, minus a couple of years recently. But they were on a roll last year. I think they'll continue that into this season.
I like it. But as the great Lee Corso would say, not so fast. Don't you dare sleep on my Milwaukee Brewers. I think they still have talent. Yep. They got rid of, obviously Moustakas left. Eric Thames is gone. He actually went to the Nationals, which people aren't talking about. But you still have Lorenzo Cain. You still have Hader. You still have who's their shortstop, who's a stud. That now their name's slipping my mind. That's frustrating because I literally see his face.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't.
Obviously, they have. Why is his name slipping my brain? Orlando Arcia. He's a stud. You have Ryan Braun, obviously. Christian Yelich. Justin Smoke at first base. I mean, this team is built deep. I mean, you got guys, you can look down, and they got guys like Eric Sogard and Jed Jerko, like guys that started for the A's and the Padres, who are now second, third guys on the depth chart. Don't sleep on this team. It's a tough division, yes. The Reds made a ton of moves to make it super interesting. I don't want to jinx it, but count the Cubs out because they're going to be massive sellers at the trade deadline. And look for your boy Joe Madden to go after some of his players that he had in Chicago. I would love to see Anthony Rizzo as an Angel.
I was gonna say, with what seems like Pujols definitely on his way out of the league, getting there. They're definitely gonna be looking for a new first baseman who can really hold that load. That has playoff experience is always a really good plus.
Yep. Wouldn't be surprised if they go after Chris Bryant too and just move him to right field.
Yeah.
But I know Joe Madden's huge on his former players, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Angels become buyers, and I would expect the Cubs to be sellers. But I think Brewers definitely win that division. So I will take over the NL West because I know where you're going, and I don't see anyone taking over the Dodgers. I think all their additions.
You have no idea what I was gonna say.
I know exactly what you're gonna say, and I honestly think the Padres could slip into sellers by the time the trade deadline hits. Now, obviously, with the season being weird, we don't know when that's going to be, how many games. I mean, Manfred's talking about a 32-game season.
Really? That's something I haven't heard.
If you have a 32-game season, you're not having an all-star break. You're not having a trade deadline. These players are going to have finished their contracts. So at that point, it could be completely different. But if Manfred's original plan is start the season June 1st, run some double headers, and keep it to where we're running a little later into October. But that's that's the plan. And what's wrong with baseball going a little bit longer into the football season? You're still going to have day games that are going to generate revenue. So if they do that, then I can definitely see the Padres becoming sellers. I don't think Machado is a fit there. I don't think Hosmer was a fit there. The Padres are a team that have to build from within. They're not going to be a team that is going to be able to bring players in and win a championship. I think you Dodgers take it. And go to the World Series and choke.
All right, was that really necessary?
Actually, I have them losing in the NL Championship against the Braves.
Yeah. There's a joke here somewhere, but I think I put it in my trash can, and that seems to be missing these days. So, something about a trip to Houston, and I'm never getting it back. I also have the Dodgers taking the NL West. Imagine that. They've taken it for the last who knows how long. The path, I said this after the World Series this year, the path to the World Series runs through Los Angeles. Look at the last at least 4 playoffs. The team that wins the World Series has to beat the Dodgers in a competitive series, other than the Red Sox. We won't talk about it. To win the World Series.
Yep.
The Cubs, the Astros,
the who?
Red Sox, the Trastros,
the Trastros,
Red Sox, and now the Nationals. And I
it's
think
been 7 years in a row.
7 years in a row, so make it 8 this year.
Yep.
But I think it's just undeniable at this point with the additions they've made. There will come a point in the beginning of the season where you say, it was overhyped or whatever, but everything's going to mesh. Our relievers are looking good this year. It's going to be a very strong season in LA, and I think they will finally bring it home this year.
I will say this. Since 1991, only 3 teams that have won the NL West have won the World Series, and not one of those is the Dodgers.
Yep.
The Diamondbacks in 2001, and then the Giants in 2010, 2012.
Yep.
That's, yeah, odds are definitely not in the Dodgers' favor. However, winning 8 in a row is definitely in their favor, and I don't see... Anyway, don't sleep on the Rockies, though. The Rockies always find a way to win.
They always find a way to compete.
And
something about the thin air up there in Colorado.
The Diamondbacks this year made some moves that they took my boy Calhoun.
Yes.
That guy's a Gold Glover. They got Bumgarner, who definitely isn't a replacement for Patrick Corbin, but
absolutely
you get a pitcher that can at least hit. And I mean, they'll never replace Goldschmidt, but they could be players as well.
I think Baum is going to bomb in Arizona. I think he's going to pull a Tim Lincecum. He is going to head over there, and he is going to fade completely out of obscurity, or completely into obscurity, and probably end up on the Angels. So,
ouch, bro. I agree. I think Mad Bum will be a bum this season, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I hear they have great Supercross out there, so he might find a new hobby out there. You never know. But I think that's about all we got, right?
That's a wrap, yeah.
And we have, sorry it's a little bit longer than a normal episode of CasonPoint, just by double. We've been going for almost 2 hours here. So we're gonna wrap this show up. We hope everyone who came by enjoyed their time with us. Our teams won. Our teams are
Facts.
undefeated after opening day.
Oh.
So, thank you guys for hanging out with us for these past 2 hours while we threw our thoughts around about the our world of sports today. The baseball season that's allegedly coming sometime, probably in June, is what we're hearing.
That's the discussion. Yeah. Obviously, with COVID, we don't know what lies ahead, but hopefully everyone is smart and stays safe, and this thing can run its course, and we can be healthy, and baseball and other sports can come back. Because baseball's not the only sport that's hurting. I mean, you had basketball, and you had hockey in the middle of their season.
Yeah.
Closer to the end of their season.
Yeah, both of which post All-Star break.
Yeah. So. And, now they're talking about hockey's talking about just doing a full league playoff instead of an actual season. Which, by the way, the LA Kings are the hottest team in hockey, so would definitely play into their favor going into a playoff.
Is absolutely true. Have we gotten the results from Bailey's stream today yet?
Oh, I have not seen the result. We are still undefeated.
I'm gonna go to Twitter real fast. Let's see if I can find it.
I did not want to do that.
Bailey LA Kings.
Oh, thanks for watching. Who won?
Is the stream over?
Yeah, it just says thanks for watching.
Oh man, I see that now.
Afternoon baseball
2 hours ago.
On the show. Today we've got a good matchup in store.
We were winning 2-1.
Oh my gosh, they brought on Jim Fox to do a live post game.
That's amazing. Oh snap.
Oh, they won.
Yeah. Kings get the big win in simulation. That's how many in a row now?
That is 8 or 9?
8 or 9 in a row for the LA Kings. They are indeed the hottest team in hockey. The hottest team on ice.
Let's go.
So, don't count them out just yet. And as always, God bless those Red Wings.
God bless them.
They're doing a great job out there. Just doing the best they can.
Place.
Yeah. Holding up the old toilet bowl there. So thank you guys. If you would like to hear more from me on the video game side, you can follow me right here on twitch.tv/MediocrePanda. Streaming a lot of Apex Legends, MLB The Show, Call of Duty, which we'll probably play right after this. So,
heck yeah, brother.
You can find me here. You can also find me on Twitter at MediocrePanda5, on all social media at MediocrePanda5. And where can they find you?
Oh, it's we're actually kind of a big deal now. You can actually Google CasonPoint.
What?
And we are like 3 links down. You'll see the Twitter page, the Facebook page. We're on listen notes for the podcast. And we're on Apple Podcasts, obviously, but the easiest way to find us, social media handles will be at CasonPoint Show. And then any music outlet that you use to get your music, your podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple iTunes, Google Play, just search CasonPoint. You will find me, and you will find our previous 23 episodes. The Mamba episode will be the special live episode. So more details coming out on the social media side of things. I've actually low-key been thinking about dropping the moments for one more 2-day session to just get some final votes in. Because we're actually really close. I want to say it was like 32 to 30 votes on the final moment. So huge engagement, having over 60 votes on the moments. So super cool. Appreciate all of you. And check out the social media outlets. We'll probably have some more voting to do, and then we will have that live episode with more details coming soon. So yeah.
Keep an eye on both of our social medias for more updates on that live show.
Shabare.
Remind me again, what were our final 2 Mamba moments?
The final 2 Mamba moments were, and this actually frustrated me, not to take this any longer, but I was really hoping that some of these moments would go longer than what they did, because I really wanted to see the famous non-flinch moment
with Matt Barnes.
I wanted that to go so deep into the finals, but unfortunately that did not happen. And then the oop to Shaq could have made it. Yeah. Obviously MJ versus Kobe. But we ended up, and I'm actually pulling up the final votes here so we can actually see where I can see the votes. And we had, whoops, I did not want to do that. I don't know why my votes page isn't popping up anymore. Why are you doing this to me? Social media. Technology.
Technology, what have you done to us?
Apparently not made us safe against coronavirus.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, it is finally loading. Thank you. My social media, you are finally worth it. The Mamba bracket final moments with votes. We have the farewell game, which received 30 votes, versus the 81-point game that received 32 votes.
Wow.
So I thought for sure the farewell game was going to pull it off just because of the loss factor of it.
Yeah.
But the 81-point game is just so hard to top. You haven't seen anything like it. So, but definitely had a ton of moments to go through, like the Achilles free throws. I mean, there are a ton of Kobe moments that were so awesome. It was such a cool experience to go through each moment and just see everyone vote. It was super cool. So I think that's why I'm going to drop it one more time just to get some extra votes. And then if we get any new voters, I'll add it to the totals. If we get the same voters, I probably won't count those to the totals. So if you're a new voter, new follower, definitely check out social media to cast your votes. And maybe we'll have a tie and we can crown 2 champions like soccer.
Yeah. We probably won't do that. We'll probably just claim.
Yeah,
one.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely
not. We don't do that around here.
Definitely not.
Sorry, soccer.
Not sorry, soccer.
But yeah, keep an eye out for those votes, you guys, on social media. Definitely, we want to get as much interaction with you guys as possible on both of our ends. Keep an eye out for more information coming up on the live show for Sunday, and any future goings-ons on our ends.
Afternoon baseball here.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for this hashtag opening day at home, hashtag quarantine stream. We appreciate you all very much.
Very mucho. Stay safe, and as always, may the sports be with you.
and peace out, fam.